Hello there, you are welcome to this edition of your favorite programs, Facts and Realities of Education. Today we are talking about the teacher again, because they are the nation builders. So we need to talk about them. We need to get into their activities as much as we can and as available as the resources at our disposal can permit us. So today we are talking about teaching and survival techniques. How do these teachers survive? By going through their activities. With me in the studio, we have a teacher who is going to help us talk about their profession, how they survive. You are welcome, Mr. Biko.
Thank you very much.
Today we are talking about teaching and survival techniques. We want to find out what is the problem with the teacher that the teacher has reached at this point of talking about techniques, ways to survive. What is the problem with the teacher?
Thank you very much. The first thing I should say is that where God is, there is survivor.
Oh, yes.
And looking at the teacher and the survival techniques of a teacher, you will see that for a teacher to survive, a lot of things stand around he or she so that she can be able to make it in life.
Mm-hmm.
You see, each time I want to talk, I am more focused in the lay private sector because that is where we find a lot of difficulties.
Okay.
Because when you want to look at civil servants, for example, they are very fortunate enough that in case of anything, they can turn to their master,
Mm-hmm.
and things are well handled.
Yeah.
But in the lay private sector, it is somehow very, very difficult. Thank you very much once more. But talking about teaching and survival techniques,
Yes.
the way teachers manage to survive, it counts a lot.
Okay.
I, for example, I am a teacher. And the question is coming directly to me, how do I survive?
Yes. How do you, as a teacher, how do you survive in carrying out your profession?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say that I must survive because I have a God who cares.
Oh, yes.
If not, it will be difficult to cross over to the other side of the river.
Okay.
So, a teacher, in order to survive, today, looking at the minimal pay package of a lay private teacher, for a teacher to survive, it is in fact very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I will take a few examples to you. Why is it difficult for a teacher to survive? In a lay private sector, in most of the schools you find around, when you look at the minimum pay package of a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
it is a cry for help.
So if we can come in here, we are talking about the ways to survive. They are talking about surviving in relation to their pay package.
Yes, that is why if you do not know how it comes about, then you will not know how they do survive.
Okay.
For example, a teacher who earns 40,000 francs, 45, or let me say maximum of 50,000 francs,
Mm-hmm.
you are a family man. You have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You have to dress up.
Yeah.
You have to take care of the family. You have to pay your house rentage. And looking at it, you have to pay transport
Every day.
to school.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at that, it is very difficult. If you look at a teacher who earns 40, 50,000 francs, who pays a single room for 10,000 francs, you are left with 40,000 francs, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And with 40,000 francs, your transport can take you about 6,000 francs, or let's say 10,000 francs too, if you are paying 300 francs.
For those who live beside their job sites.
For those who live close to their job site.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a little bit further, you are in trouble. And now, you have to, when you come to your job site, you have to feed.
Normally.
They have to prepare at home. You have to pay your children's school fees.
Yes.
You have to take care of your children's health, medication, hospital bills. You have to pay the lights, the water you are using, and how can you cope? And this is coming to where you will find many teachers immediately after school. You see teachers moving up and down in the town in search or going for their cassava farm, their coffee farm, or their cocoa farms.
What do they mean by, let's be explicit, what do they mean by, we are talking about facts here.
Yeah.
What do they mean by cocoa farm? Because that expression is so familiar with teachers.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to the farm. And I doubt how many of them do have farms in a city like Douala.
Good. When we talk about farms, what are the farms we are talking about?
Yes.
Teachers who have children that they can do home remedial teaching with them.
Okay.
And I want to tell you, a teacher who earns 40, 50,000 francs, who is not having a home remedial teaching to teach a child at home, that teacher cannot survive.
No, but let's look at it from this term. It's not as if all is black, because I imagine a teacher who has about 30, 40 students in pupils in class, and they have to pay for those remedial classes. How much is more than this? The salary?
One thing you should know is that remedial teaching is not a forceful issue.
It's not compulsory.
It is not compulsory.
It's optional.
It is optional for parents who want that they should take up the level of the education of their children to a certain standard, especially the weak ones. It is not as if it is something that everybody is involved. No, it is especially for the weak students.
Okay, all right.
It is especially for the weak student, so much so that you can take them gradually to meet up with those who are ahead of them.
Okay.
Because one thing you should know is that in the classroom we have children who are a little bit brighter than the others.
Yes.
And in all, we have to do all in order to move together with these children so that nobody should be left behind.
Okay.
And that is why when I talk about teachers with remedial teaching at home, it is for parents who actually want it to be like that. It is not compulsory.
So the appeal or the demand comes from the parent.
It is from the parent. A teacher cannot tell a parent that I want to do remedial teaching with your child. It is when a parent sees that there is need for my child to do remedial teaching work at home, remedial study with the teacher at home, that the parent now come towards the teacher.
But there has been a cry that teachers portray students to be weak so as to provoke parents to ask for these remedial classes. Is it a reality?
When you say so, I say no.
Okay.
Why? Because we have the national syllabus that we do follow. We have our schemes of work. And when you are teaching, you teach what is in front of you. And you are more focused on the weak ones. And you cannot abandon a child because you want to teach the child. If you say you will not follow up a child and you want maybe to go in for remedial classes with a child, and if the parent is not viable, what are you going to do? Then you are killing the future of the child.
Okay, all right. Now let's continue a bit. We are talking about trying to survive in terms of their pay package. What about working conditions too?
The working conditions are very, very deplorable. You see, most of the teachers in the lay private sector, especially in the basic education, when you go to school, you find them there. Then the class is teaching. And when you look at the conditions of work, most of them, they do not even have contracts.
Yes.
But because you have to make life out, you are bound to start doing something.
In order to survive.
In order to survive.
Okay.
Most especially, you will believe with me that about 80% of lay private teachers in Cameroon, they are not registered under the national insurance.
The social national.
Yes.
The CNPS.
The CNPS. They are not registered. The proprietors, they are there.
But at the end of the month, there's an amount that is deducted from your salary for.
Yes, there is an amount that is being deducted.
Yes.
Most of these people deducting this amount, they deduct it and keep in their private pockets.
Okay.
they remain in their private pockets. And it is not beneficial to the teacher, because the teacher, when they are deducting a certain amount, a percentage of money from your salary, there should be a purpose for that.
Okay.
And when you look at most of the teachers, they don't have what they call pay slips. They don't have pay slips. You get the day you get you need your salary. They'll open an exercise where you sign inside and collect the latest thing they are giving to you. You have collected. That is just to ensure that that is just to say you have collected what you agreed to work upon.
Okay.
So it is difficult. But what I want to say here is that it is really time for us, the teachers, to start doing something.
Correct. That's where I wanted to find out whether these survival techniques, is it a universal experience? Is it an experience that most of the teachers go through here, or is it kind of individual? Are there some schools that we can say, no, teachers in this school are better, or is it kind of general, private teachers?
Some schools, let us call what is black.
That's why we call
what
this program
is
facts
yes.
and realities.
In some schools, we have proprietors who have the concern for the teachers that are teaching in their schools,
for the well-being of their teachers.
Well-being of their teachers. That is, they don't play with what concerns their teachers.
Correct.
Everything about their teacher is updated. If a teacher is in a difficulty, you see the proprietor of a school that is coming in to see that, no, this is my teacher. I cannot allow my teacher down, because if my teacher is down, it means I am down. Because when the teacher is down, the school is down. So, and there are some proprietors whom they do not care.
Yes.
I want to tell you something. If in some lay private schools, if a teacher is faced with a health problem, let me say a teacher is sick for 1 week, 2 weeks, do you know what the proprietor of the school will be doing? The proprietor of that school will already be looking for ways to replace that teacher so that his school should keep functioning. But that teacher is left behind. And maybe even the hospital bill of this teacher, the teacher is unable to pay. But the proprietor, for that proprietor or proprietress to look for ways to remedy the situation of the teacher, so much so that the teacher should come back to life and keep on working with the school. Rather, that school will start thinking of replacing that teacher immediately.
Okay, now let us get something. Are you people aware? Do you people sit and talk about your difficulties? You, the teachers.
We talk about our difficulties.
And so when you talk about your difficulties, how do you? Because people should help you when you start helping yourself.
Yes, you know, when you do not cry.
Yes.
When you do not pray to God, you will not be expecting an answer. It is only when you pray that you expect an answer through faith.
So how do you people jointly try to handle your difficulties?
Well, one of the things I should tell you, one of the things we actually realize that is killing us, that is really pushing us to the wall, is this practical example I'm going to take to you, where in some schools we have our colleagues teachers, we have our teachers, and when some of them are faced with this health problem, at times they give up the ghost. And when a teacher dies, it is as if even a fly,
as if nothing happened.
Nothing has happened.
Okay.
And when we look at all these things, we really came together under a common canopy to say no. At least we should be able to take care of ourselves first. One time in one of the schools, a teacher died. When that teacher died, that teacher was to be buried in the northwest region of Cameroon. And the teacher died here in Douala. Thank God that teacher had some family members and some well-wishers that could stand by that teacher at that particular moment. For the number of days the corpse of the mortal remains stayed in the mortuary, and to transport the mortal remains from Douala to Northwest, the proprietor of the school was so proud to give his own humble contribution of 20,000 francs for a teacher that has worked with you for 3-4 years. What does that represent? It is an indirect insult to the teachers. Because when we look at that, it was an insult. And I say, oh, if this thing is going to continue like this, very soon all the teachers will abandon teaching and start moving around the street selling their banana, granuts, in order to survive. But that notwithstanding, when you are called up in a profession, you cannot abandon the profession because of the pay package
and because
of the difficulties. One thing is certain, that one day God will make a way where it seems there is no way for the lay private teachers.
Amen.
I call on all of them. We should not be discouraged. I know that one day things will not remain the same. And I want to invite each and every lay private teacher not to fold their arms and sit. We must rise up and walk. We must hold our hands together and move together as one person with a common goal. That is why, in order to remedy or in order to give a kind of barrier that a teacher deserves, because one thing is sure, my brother, the person that is supposed to have the most befitting barrier here on earth is no other person than a teacher. When you look at the state barrier of a military man, you say, oh, how I wish I was the one. But who trained the military person? I am the one. When you look at the way they buried government officials, who is their trainer? I am the one. I will train you. You are more better than me. When it happens to me, you say, ah, who are they?
Yes.
So when we look at that, we took we took a close look at that and said, no.
Things should not
continue that way. If our proprietors cannot help us,
you should help us.
We will help. We should help ourselves.
Okay.
We should help ourselves.
And that's where I was going to ask. You don't have things like what the Frenchman calls amical. You don't have mutual associations among you, because if the proprietor could not take care of that teacher, what about his colleagues, his immediate colleagues with whom they were working in the same school?
At this particular moment, I would not like to talk about in the same school.
Okay.
Let us talk about colleagues, teachers,
yes,
who are working together. Because if you're a teacher, if you are in school A today, tomorrow you can be in school B.
Yes, exactly.
Am I correct?
Exactly.
So right. I don't want us to talk about a particular school, because if we were to talk about a particular school, in a school where there are only 6 teachers, and such a misfortune happens with a teacher, what do you expect those 6 persons to do, or the 5 others to do?
Yeah.
With the little 40,000 francs that they are earning at the end of the month. Maybe before it is happening, that teacher is not having even up to 2,000 francs in his keeping. What would they do? So that is why we decided to come under a common canopy to come out with a solid association for lay private teachers in particular. For lay private teachers in particular. So much so that we can help ourselves. Yeah. And that is why we came up with this association, Lay Private Teachers Association, Douala 3 subdivision. And I am calling on all other subdivisions in the national territory to copy that particular example.
To form an association.
To form an association for their teachers in the lay private sector. So we came up with this association. We started it gradually, and finally, on the 21st of September in this 2017, the government officially granted that association to move ahead by signing our internal rules and regulations, our text, everything about the association, and we are happy about that.
So you have an authorization?
Yes, we have an authorization to function and function well for the well-being of the lay private teachers.
Is it open to all private school or private teachers?
It is open to all lay private schools.
Okay.
It is open to all lay private schools. Not to some particular teachers, to all lay private teachers in Douala 3 subdivision.
Okay.
In Douala 3 subdivision. And it is easy to be admitted in that association. What does it require? You simply have to register yourself with a minimal sum of 1,000 francs and with a contribution of 5,000 francs. This is to make sure that in case of anything, we try to help ourselves with.
Okay.
And we decided that apart from the Central Executive Bureau, we decided to decentralize the association into different zonal pedagogic zones.
Okay.
So much so that administration should be
Easier. Closer to the people.
Closer to the people. In order that everybody should be aware of that association. And I think that it is going to help us so much. And I want to invite all the lay private teachers in Douala 3 subdivision. It is not francophone or anglophone. It is for both anglophone lay private teachers and francophone lay private teachers. It is a common association for all the teachers.
I wanted to find out, is it only for those in the primary section, or it extends to those at the secondary?
No. Primary.
Okay.
It is only for the primary section. Yes. I pray that those in the secondary should also be finding a way
to survive. Okay, I wanted to find out too, where do you meet? When do you meet? You talked of how many pedagogic zones do we have in Douala 3?
We have, in pedagogic zones, we have Anglophone pedagogic zones, we have Francophone pedagogic zones, because the two cannot be merged together, because that is two subsystem of education. Okay. So now the different pedagogy zones, like for the francophones we have close to about 18 pedagogy zones, and for the anglophones we have about 9 pedagogy zones.
Okay. And then in each of these zones, do you have a specific meeting place and days, or it rotates? When do you meet? Where do you meet?
There is no specific meeting place.
Okay.
There is no specific venue. But one thing we do is that when we want to call for a meeting, we look at a centralized place where it will be easier for everybody to attend the meeting.
Okay.
But for the decentralization of the pedagogic, for the decentralization of the association into the different pedagogic zone, this decision came on last Friday. So, and from the 16th of this month of November is going to be officially implemented.
Okay. So I wanted to find out too from you, when you meet, you bring your various challenges that you face, you advise yourself, you update your teaching skills, or what do you do precisely when you meet?
Yeah, talking we share our difficulties, but talking about teaching skills, that is done separately during our pedagogy seminars, where we go for refresher courses, we update ourselves, and we get back to the field.
Okay. So now we will be reminding our brothers and sisters. I understand the association is open to both men and women.
Both men and women. There is no
distinction.
There is no distinction.
Okay. So we'll be inviting our brothers and sisters who are in the teaching field in the lay private schools in Douala 3, teaching in the basic education, to make sure that they get themselves attached to any of these pedagogic zones, so that they can, because they say strength lies in unity.
Normally, united we stand and divided we fall.
So before we go out, suppose you had to talk to your colleagues, teachers, because we are almost rounding up with time. You are telling you have to talk to your colleagues, teachers who do not yet have the idea about this group, or who do not participate yet. What do you tell them, like their last words?
As my last words, my fellow colleagues in the noble profession, it is time for us to stand up and work together as one person. I do hereby invite each and every one of you in the lay private sector of basic education, Douala 3 subdivision. Do not hesitate to join this association so that together we can make it. Remember that a common saying goes thus: make hay while the sun shines. It is never too late.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is never too late, like he says. We will implore and beg on you that remember you have the destiny of the kids given to you in your hands. So you need to be very prudent with decisions you take. You need to be very objective with decisions you take and know that the future of the country lies in your hands.
We cannot joke with that.
That's good. That is a
Every
promise.
pupil I happen to teach is my pride,
Correct.
because I know the payment of a teacher lies in the hands of the pupils the teacher trains.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having time to come to talk to us about ways teachers can survive and to edifying our viewers about this association of lay private teachers in Douala 3 subdivision. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this edition of the program today. Next week, we would be coming again with something interesting to talk about education. Programs continue here at DBS Television. Keep watching. God bless your day.